Greetings. How many times have you seen a video purporting to tell you about the twin flame stages? Like, we got to go through all these stages to get into union. Now, I've made videos about this topic before, and I'm going to do something a little different than I've done before in this video. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Kurt. I am the world's leading twin flame coach, almost 6,000 paying coaching students to date that I've personally helped. We've caused thousands of unions. I might know a thing or two about this. And by the way, I don't necessarily agree that my track record is the best way to tell if my message is a good message or not. What I think matters is what I say. Listen to what I teach about twin flames, because I seem to be the only person who's teaching it this way. And I'm not saying that I'm better than anybody else, but it's just kind of like that. There's like the whole entire twin flame space online, and then there's me. So let's get right into it. Guys, you are your twin flame. There's a lot of differing information on the internet about twin flames. Very, very painful journey. Seemingly, at least it starts out that way, right? It's meant to be beautiful, and it will be. We're going to get to that. But regardless of all the different information about twin flames that you can find on the internet, the one thing everybody agrees on is that it's one soul in two bodies, or it's like the soul splits, or you're the same soul vibration, or something like that, right? And that is absolutely correct. You are simultaneous incarnations of the same soul. Everybody already knows about reincarnation, right? Like past lives, reincarnation. We already know about that. You just have two. The soul does that. There's no such thing as time. That's usually what confuses people, is they're thinking in linear terms. Like, my previous life, I died in 1975, and then I was born into my new incarnation. I reincarnated in 1977, and now here I am, or whatever, right? There's no such thing as time. You've got two. It wouldn't be any different than if you got into a time machine and went back and found your previous, whoever you used to be in a past life, and saw them from across the street, and you'd be like, hey, look at that, there they are, right? And it brings a whole host of questions like, well, then why are they being such a dick? Why are they running? Or does that mean we're meant to be together, etc., etc.? And I'll try to address some of those questions in this video. But let's talk stages. Now, there, you could say, are stages, but what I'm going to call stages in this video are going to be extremely different from every other twin flame stages video that you've ever seen. The ultimate correct answer is that there aren't stages. Okay? There's one, I guess, right? And when you have a deeper understanding of that, then that establishes a context for us to talk about what kind of stages maybe you do go through. And how what I'm going to describe to you is different from what you usually hear on the internet about twin flames is what everybody else is talking about is maybe something that you and this other person go through, right? Like the outside world, the 3D external world. And I'm not criticizing anybody else. I know everybody's just trying to figure out what the fuck is going on with this twin flame business. It's really painful, and I can't fault them for that. But again, it's not hard to figure out what's really going on when you recognize what a twin flame is. It's simultaneous incarnations of the same soul. So remember, you're a three-part triune being, body, mind, soul. You just have to know how these things work. And it's not a mystery. We know exactly what those things are, and we've known for thousands of years. Okay? It's if you look to many different disciplines, including ancient Zen spiritualism. It's all the world's religions is laden with this teaching of non-duality versus duality. Even psychology, they call the mind duality. And I've made lots of videos about that. So we know exactly what's going on. It's not true that we don't know what the soul is. It's not true that there's no evidence for reincarnation. It's not true that we don't know what happens when you die. There's no evidence. Nobody knows. Baloney. There's an overwhelming amount of evidence. And that's what I'm talking about. That's what this channel is all about, guys. I'm just going to point you to the evidence that we've known about for thousands of years. Now, what of the stages? Well, first, let's start with how ultimately there are no stages. And then I'll give you some insight into what stages there sort of kind of are. It's an internal experience. It's not out there. It's not external. So why aren't there any stages ultimately? Guys, you are your twin flame. You are them. The question is, what are you? Who are you? What is the self? What truly is that? Here's what I mean by that. Everybody on earth, almost everybody, derives their very sense of self from the mind, the ego, the personality. It's a history, it's a story. And I'm not even saying that's bad, that's just what that is. It's an identity, it's a collection of retained thought and emotional patterns. It's a story, right? I've been to these places, I've done these things, this is what I do for a living. These are the things that I like. These are the things that I don't like. I know these people. I'm a mom. I'm a brother. I'm a doctor. I'm a lawyer. I'm a fisherman. I'm a cook. I'm a teacher. Whatever. Just whatever, right? I like these things. I don't like these things, etc., etc. And right off the bat, you can see the duality of mind. I like it. I don't like it, right? And that's where divine masculine and divine feminine come from. It's not really based on biological sex. It's energy. Think like yin yang, duality. I like it, I don't like it. Yin yang, divine feminine, divine masculine, alpha omega, past future, good bad, hot cold, up down, light dark. Concept, the mind, mental, thinking, emotions, and you retain all of these memories. It's a story that you've made an identity. Even a psychologist is going to tell you that your personality isn't really concrete until like the age of 8. Okay? So what happens before that? What about a newborn baby? Well, there's consciousness there. There's not really the identity, just consciousness. The baby is aware. Well, what's that all about? Right. The soul is consciousness. Remember, body, mind, soul. We just need to know how these things work. So ancient Zen spiritual teaching, we just talked about the mind. That's the yin and yang. That's the duality, mental, emotional, concept, thoughts, metaphysical energy. The soul is non-duality. It's the one. You ever heard them talk about, oh, I feel this oneness? They call that unity consciousness. That's where the word union really came from. I made a video about that. Go check it out. I made lots of free twin flame coaching videos on this channel. I've got an arsenal of them. I've been at this for a long time, guys. You're in the right place. I even made a greatest hits playlist for you. It's called The True Twin Flame Teachings. Just go watch 10 of those videos. Make sure you watch the video called Twin Flames, Separation Consciousness, Unity Consciousness, and Detaching. When you find out where those words really came from, separation, union, detaching, you're going to have the biggest aha moment of your life. It's a state of consciousness. It's not in the physical, just like the stages. The fact is, there are no real stages. You are not the personality. You are not the ego, the mind, the story, the history. It's learned. Again, from a newborn baby through the age of 8, there is no personality. The soul is consciousness. It's not preferences. It's not good or bad. It's not I like it, I don't like it. It's not I want it to be this way. Oh, I don't want it to be that way. That's why I'm always telling you guys that you just have to align with your soul. And what the soul is all about is acceptance of what is. And when you do that, that's when your twin flame comes back. When you release outcomes, that's when your twin flame stops rejecting you. When you stop wishing for things to be different, that's when they unblock you. That's when they come back. That's when they start talking to you. Happens all the time, guys. You already are your twin flame. The question is, what is you? You are consciousness. You are the soul. You are not your mind. Everybody on earth believes they are their mind. It's the human condition. Everybody believes they are this personality, the story, the history, the identity. You are not. You are formless. You are pure essence, pure being, pure non-duality consciousness. And when you transcend the separation consciousness of ego and enter unity consciousness of the soul, union, that's when you detach. There's a saying that I give to my twin flame coaching students. I tell them to detach from my twin flame is to detach from my mind. The twin flame journey is really just the true spiritual journey. It's really just ancient Zen spiritualism. This is thousands of years old. That's why I'm telling you, we know exactly what's going on. This has been taught for thousands of years by countless teachers. And it's even woven into almost all of the world's major religions. Very interesting. The soul is consciousness. It has no preference. It's just the witness. Think of it this way. You've got thoughts and feelings going on, and you're there noticing the thoughts and feelings. And let's face it, when you're in the depths of the dark night of the soul with the obsessive thinking and the crying and bawling yourself to sleep every night, and you're just in the most desperate way, you'll do anything to make the pain stop. Sound familiar? Yeah, there's another thing that the internet gets wrong about twin flames. Oh, it's beautiful and amazing, and you're going to be together. Now, it ends up being that way, right? At least it should. If you stay obsessed with the person, if you stay attached to a result with the person, they run. You got to let that go. How do you let that go? Remember who you really are. You got to let it go. It's not like steps, like, oh, I got to go through this process, right? So here we go with what some people think are stages. Like, oh, it's like a 12-step program. It's all like mental things that I got to go through. And then there's things that happen out here. First we meet, and then there's the bubble phase, and then they run, and then I crash, and then I awaken, and then I go on my mission, and then I do some healing, and then they start doing their healing, and then we meet together, and then we go back and forth for a while, and then there's all the stages. No. There's only one thing, guys. You are your twin flame. You already are consciousness. That's all there is. You already are your twin flame. The question is, what is you? You are not your mind. You are not that which is sitting there asking questions. You're looking at the thinking and the emotions, just like Dark Night of the Soul. You can't miss it with the obsessive thinking. But I ask you, who's looking? What is it that notices thoughts and emotions? Think about it, no pun intended. What is consciousness? What is consciousness? What is the awareness of the thoughts and emotions? You. who you really are. When you do the thing that we call die, the body goes away, the mind goes away, what's left? You, the real actual you, and that's consciousness. That's your twin flame. Remember, your twin flame is your soul. You literally already are them. You just forgot who you really are. So now it's time to awaken, and that is exactly why they came into your life. They trigger the breakdown of your ego. The mind, it's breaking down. That's why there's all the obsessive thinking, the crying, the desperation. There's this deep sense of meaninglessness, right? Why would there be a sense of meaninglessness? Because the ego is melting away, basically. It feels like its life is ending. It has no purpose. The ego personality, the old self, the separate self. That's what they call that in ancient Zen spiritualism, the separate self. That's why there's the meaninglessness. Does this start to make sense? Now, what about actual stages? Because remember, there are no stages. But when you go through this process of ego death, which has also been referred to as dark night of the soul, that's what I'm trying to tell you. Another thing is that we already kind of know what this is. This is your spiritual awakening. We already know exactly what a spiritual awakening looks like. This has been taught for thousands of years. And if you embrace that instead of the person, you start to feel better, you start having all these breakthroughs, all these miracles take place, and your twin flame comes back. Don't believe me? Go check out my testimonials on my website. Go looking around through my YouTube channel at my twin flame success story videos. Happens every day, guys. You already are your twin flame. So are there stages? No. And you need to treat it that way. I already am the soul. I'm not my mind. The mind is only capable of viewing the other person at all. The mind is duality. They call it separation consciousness. There's me and there's other. The mind is externalized. That's why people like stages videos. Oh, give me all the numbers and indicators and things that we're going to be doing, action, duality. Me, them, and we are separate. There is a we. There's no we. There's only you. The question is, what is you? You are your twin flame. Very, very simple. Very, very simple, guys. Now, as the ego death proceeds and you start to detox from the addictive energy of your twin flame person, that's what I coach people on how to do in my twin flame coaching program. It does feel like stages, but it's in here. There are changes, and I've helped people do this so many times. I've seen it happen so many times. I went through it, and it's always the same things in the same order. So you have to leave the person alone for a while, even if you got to block them. I'll tell my students sometimes, you got to block them. You got to ghost them. You got to erase them from your life like they never happened. Meanwhile, everybody else on the internet is telling you to do some fucking healing, to send them love energy, to clear your karma with them, to clear your chakras, to do all this stuff that keeps you focused on the person. And you got to detach. So wait, I got to do all this stuff to get my twin flame back, and I got to detach. Yeah, that doesn't work, guys. And it makes it worse, and you go through the same fucking cycles with your person, and they run harder. No, you got to detach. When that happens, within days, my student starts to feel better fast. That's the first thing. Next thing you know, when you start doing the meditations, for example, and the book readings and these types of things, you're overcome with a deep sense of peace and even hopefulness. But it's beyond hopefulness. It's a knowing that everything's going to be all right. Next thing you know, you experience deep Zen. It's called Satori, complete cessation of thoughts and emotions, and you feel this nirvana. And again, this happens intermittently over the course of maybe a few weeks, right? Now, it's around this time that you might hear from your twin flame, or you'll run into them around town. And, you just got to kind of say okay and then not really respond to it. You start to notice how you feel inside. When they come around, it'll drive your energy way up. And you just need to detach from that and recognize the trigger for what it is. It's just a mind pattern. Now, not long after that starts happening, you feel this sense of detached from the actual physical world. I call it the numbness phase. You feel like you're not part of this physical world anymore. And that comes and goes very quickly. It's maybe about a day or two. But you feel like I'm not in the world anymore. I don't know how else to describe it. I call it the numbness phase. And then after that, it's like automatic. Your ascension is just automated after that. It just happens. As long as you don't go back into old cycles. And then you start to kind of go through some oscillations, what I call the ups and downs, right? As the ego is fighting you for control. And over time, you feel better. You start having amazing breakthroughs, just amazing, beautiful experiences. You learn to work with your inner space. You'll start feeling emotions and things, but without being attached to them. The next thing that happens is you feel like you're here and the ego, pain body, the mind, the emotional, mental body is over there doing what it's doing. And you have this big breakthrough and you go, wait, I don't have to listen to this. That's not me. And I can't describe it any better than that, you guys. It's not conceptual. You can't think your way there. This isn't a journey of the mind. You can't acquire that experience either. It just happens. But what you're doing is, the meditations, you're detoxing from the person for a while, you're going into a Zen space, you're slowing down energetically, and you're learning to work with your emotional triggers. You're realizing that I'm here and the triggers are there. And that's it. And over time, it just kind of gets easier and easier and easier over time. And then it's around this time that you start to notice your external world changing though too. That does happen, but it'll be your whole entire life situation. And you start to manifest new things, new experiences, new people, a new job. People start to notice you and your twin flame. They won't leave you alone. They want to talk to you all of a sudden. And like my coaching program, I warn people about that part, because if they come to you and you take whatever they're giving you and you go, right? Then you just go back into old cycles. So you have to take it very slow, right? Little thimbleful at a time. But as long as you're doing that, you're managing your inner space. You're not allowing yourself to get attached to an outcome with the person. And you'll start to notice it. That addictive energy, it'll want a hit of that drug, man. But that's the thing, is there's a you who's noticing when your mind and your pain body, the emotional body, is doing that. And it's very strange because you're clear that you used to believe that was you. Like, who am I beyond the body? Now, you guys might say, oh, well, I'm a soul because you're in a spiritual type of community. Well, yeah, good answer, but do you really know what that means? Because the way most people act out their daily lives is through the personality. And there's nothing wrong with the personality. You still retain somewhat of a personality, but it's much more tenuous than it used to be. So it's very remarkable to you to just kind of watch and observe the ego when it's doing what it's doing. It can be very triggering, but at the same time, you're clear that there's me and there's the trigger over there. After that, it's basically the first day of the rest of your life. You just spend the time it takes to relearn who you are beyond the body, which is this beingness. This is why I'm telling you guys to, to watch Eckhart Tolle videos or Rupert Spira. They always talk about this. Why? Because they're teaching you the true spiritual journey, ancient Zen spiritualism. Your twin flame is your spirit. They are your soul. That's what it's all about, guys. You don't need healing. You don't need the New Age stuff. Healing takes place automatically. And if you want to do healing modalities, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but don't do them to get your twin flame back. And you're not even doing anything to get your twin flame back this whole time that I've been describing what it is you're doing. To get your twin flame back? Right. It's a paradox. It's like it works the opposite because you're not doing anything about them and they just come. Just like that. Guys, I hope this made sense to you. Thank you so much for watching. I hope I've given you something different today. Go watch my free twin flame coaching videos on this YouTube channel. Check them out, guys. There's a reason I'm #1. Thanks for watching. Have a great week.